I am impressed. I think we can do better. I am impressed. You see, if you are used to analyzing people's presentation, you would have given so high a mark for what they did. The pictorial evidence, the visuals make a lot of impact. They speak volumes than the things you say. And for me, that is the reason why I was so much happy to see the group one. Let us give it to them once again. So, I don't know whether he has represented all of you very well. Maybe you have other things you want to add.
Very well.
The group members, you are the group members are allowed. Then the others, if you have anything to ask, you are at liberty to do so now. We have one microphone at the back, also Father Terrace, somewhere middle.
Thank you, my classmate Jabin Bayas. Mama is on pollution, air pollution. It's difficult to contain it and to control. We are in a country where we import a lot of used cars. And at times when you are driving behind a car, you have no option but to roll your glass up, even though you don't have air conditioning in your car, because of the pollution it's emitting. How do we deal with it? Recently, we heard of the government wanting to ban overused fridges this year, and we heard of the Buhaha and the fight it brought. As a church, how do we partner the government in helping us to control the pollution in the system? Thank you.
I'll give it to my group members to make a contribution.
Hello, I think we have some good institutions in the country. And then the only problem we have is the policies that are made are not being implemented well. And as I said, as a church, after the end of the sermon, or before the close of the Mass, the priest has a duty to remind citizens who are working in these institutions about their core responsibilities to the life they are also caring for. The DVLA is there to be able to check these pollutions. And that's one of the core mandates of the DVLA, to make sure that cars that are to be satisfied with roadworthiness, that they are not satisfied that condition, should not move. But what do we see? They're moving around. So those are things that, as members of the church, we need to remind those working in the DVLA. They are part of us. And once we remind them of their responsibility, definitely we are surely going to get an improvement. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm part of the group. So to add to what my colleagues are saying, what we discussed at the group level is to ensure that the institutions that are mandated to manage some of these things do their work very well. He mentioned the DVLA, and we all know that beyond the DVLA, we have MTTU, and they are always on the road. And one of their core mandates is to check some of these things. So once we collaborate with them as a church and as a unit, we would enforce that particular aspect of the law. Because in Ghana, we have all these laws, beautifully written, but the implementation is a challenge. And the institutions to work. The other challenge they have is the resources to work. So once we come in as a church, we are providing advocacy and in some way providing a platform for them to educate the public and also to do their work. And in a way, giving a resource, some kind of resource to them to manage and be able to perform very well. So I believe that collaboration will come in and then resource management will also come in. Thank you.
Next person. Or reaction from the resource person?
Yeah.
No, I just all the questions, after the questions.
Yeah, we want to do it.
After all the questions?
Yes.
Okay. Any other reaction, Nama? Or maybe let me complete. I very much like the plant my own tree project. I only want to say that, how can you make that as an agenda for all of us here? Planting my own tree, how will you make it and as an agenda for all of us here.
So during our group discussion, I think one of our brothers gave an example with regards to the hospital being built here in Koforidua. So as at the time, they had to clear the place, and after building, they told their staff that an individual should try and then plant, take care of it, and then see it to grow. In as much as we agree that there are challenges pertaining to where we stay, among others, the group resolved that as individuals, wherever it is we find ourselves, we should at least try and identify a place where you can plant. And as you plant, you ensure that the tree grows. And that is one of the way we as group members felt that if we attach so much consciousness to it, we will be able to do it in our own small way, wherever it is we find ourselves. And so we tax and encourage all of you, irrespective of where you find yourself, to at least be conscious of the fact that you should be able to plant a tree.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a member of the group. I'm actually just a living example to this kind of tree planting. And my staff is St. Joseph Hospital, Gcbc. The trees were being purchased by the head, that is the director. Then each unit head was given a tree. I am happy to be the head of the unit. If you come to my office now, you will see a very nice picture, a group picture, hanging there. It was the very day we were going to plant this tree. As we were planting, I've asked for a picture, a photograph. And it is well printed, hanging there. As I speak, if you go there right now, the tree, you see the tree standing, in fact, as long as taller than myself twice. And it provides a shade for all of us. So other groups, I'm not trying to praise myself, but there are other unit members who refuse to water the tree during dry season. You can't be phase one. But you need to be disciplined if you really want the thing to exist. So if after planting, it's not a matter of just planting, it doesn't yet end there. But there is not involving this very tree plantation. Like you mentioned here, if you want to implement the the resources will be there, but you need to be disciplined for it to grow, to gain your ambition. So we are actually appealing to the House that by the close of the day, please, when you get home, make sure that there's a tree. If it's not there, make sure that it's there. And it will help all of us. Thank you.
Good. So it's not only tree planting, but tree growing, making sure that it lives. But let me inform you that this is a 5-year renewable project for the Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference. You are all already on a virtual platform, and I'm sure we are already interacting on the WhatsApp platform. This platform is created to keep track with what you are doing in your dioceses, and from time to time we will put questions there, and we'll require that you answer them practically and show evidence. Thank you very much. Group leader, kindly post your answers on the platform.
Their presentation.
Your presentation on the platform. And this goes to all other groups.
Thank you very much. This is fantastic. Sure. Really, really fantastic presentation. And following up from what Father Terence, in fact, as you made a presentation, my mind was just going as to how we can put this into a policy brief that is traceable, that we can monitor. And for every 5 years, we can report on. So if we take the tree planting, for example, I believe if we make a decision, we can all set a particular day so that we don't leave it to anybody to decide which day. We all set up a particular day on which everyone should plant the tree. Then we take pictures of ourselves planting the tree. We can put it either in the platform or social media handles. But this should, if it is possible to put together a communique, so that everybody knows that this group and this conference decided today that they are going to do this to help to take care of the environment that God has given us. And maybe even by posting it on social media, it will influence, you talked about influencing. It will influence other people as well to also want to plant trees, even though they may not be part of this group. So this is really fantastic. I think if we can find a way of putting together something concrete that for the 5 years we can monitor and report on. And the issue of watering, so that every year you take a picture on a particular day, the anniversary of the occasion, you take a picture with your tree and post back. It means that you yourself, you know that if your tree doesn't survive, you have to plant another one. Because when the year comes, you have to take a picture with your tree. So I think this is really fantastic. I think we can do something concrete and actionable that we can also report on, at least for the 5-year period. Thank you so much for this. Thank you.
So thank you, Group 1. You are discharged. Classmate, I've not been biased, so if you do these things, you appreciate when people put effort into what they do. Group 2.
So for us, Group 2, our question was in two folds. And so we divided them. The first part of it was what a responsive leadership is. And our responses are: a leadership concerned about the people and what pertains to them. A leadership that leads an exemplary life. A leadership that is proactive, makes everyone feel belonged and carry each other along. Responds to the contingencies on time. Walking the talk. Responding to the wants on age and bringing positive change. A leadership that has a vision and repeatedly communicating on a change, making follow-ups and collection of feedbacks till a goal is achieved. The second part of our question is Catholics' role in responsive leadership. And our responses are: constant sensitization by the use of the pulpit, seminars, Sunday school classes, and community organizations for talks or seminars. And being the change we desire. An example, we have examples, not one: paying our workers well, planting of trees around our houses, and watering them till they grow. 3, families' responsibility to train children to be responsible and value what they do in terms of work and labor. Identify the various challenges our labor poses to the environment and address it from the roots, or do a sensitization work on that. Including the environment protection in our school's curriculum, which on a great discussion, we realized that the curriculum does not, or the ministry does not take much consideration of our part of the church that is in charge of schools. And so we said that we have to make use of our structures, like the schools, the hospitals, and wherever we find ourselves, to make that impact, if the government cannot factor that into their plans. We said the use of candles made of wax, natural flowers, providing dustbins around our parishes, our houses, and our convents will also serve as an awareness creation. We should also try and heed to policies made by political leaders that are important and life-giving. And also pray for our environment. And the JPICs want to take up a role in educating the communities as they do during elections and other periods. Respecting and appreciating the work and effort of our workers in words, in kind, or in cash. Encouraging our parishioners to also go into politics and help effect positive change. Developing our sense of entrepreneurship at all levels in our various institutions to help curb some of the illegal activities that are destroying our environment. Education on perception change towards work and make it life-giving for ourselves and others. Cultivating self-knowledge and self-actualization. We also said we should have career guidance in our schools. Developing agric science, which has been in a way sidelined in our country's curriculum, especially in the JHS, which has been fused with the integrated science, and a small portion of it is taught, so that at least our children will have the basic knowledge on backyard garden and farming, so that they will venture into them. There should be a sense of commitment by all stakeholders to help achieve this goal. Without it, all that we have said will be in vain. So this is what we have for you from Group 2. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Group 2. Those are very, very, very informing words, areas you have looked at. It is true that we have almost lost everything, even though as a church, these are things that the church has been identified with over the years. Then somehow, midway, we are losing it simply because we don't have so much control over our mission churches anymore like we used to. This is the time to start some form of rebellion by acting ourselves and making sure that we are doing the things that we need to do. And I think those are the things you have presented to us or you've shared with us. Group 2 members, any other thing you want to add first before we ask for questions and other contributions? Anyway, so if we have any question for Group 2, it is time now for us to ask.
Let me be biased. Let me give it to the lady first.
Thank you, Group 2. Thank you, Group 2, for your presentation. I want to be clear with the second part that says ensuring responsive leadership in our society as to maintain the dignity of labor. And one of your points is that we pay our workers well. How well is the well? Yeah, you agree with me that that has been a big issue with people working with us and even the church. And then you also talked about developing entrepreneurial skills in individuals so that they don't go to the land to deplete it. But there are some of the skills that would send the person there. So that point, can you really make it clear for us?
Please, it's not actually for her, and that is what I'm about to say. It's not for her. It is for the group. Do you want to take the two questions before? I think it is good we respond to this, and then Father Alfred will take the other.
Thank you. I think what we meant by the first question you asked was to ensure that they, I don't know whether that was the one that has to do with payment of staff well. Yes. Like you rightly said, as a church, if we compare our pay structures to other people, I'm not sure we can say that we are even among the best. What we're saying for equality work and labor, we have to make sure that our salaries to our workers at least commensurate with the kind of work they put in. Because we say that we should respect the human dignity. So if we aren't paying them well, how do we expect them to also give of their best? So that is what we meant by ensuring that the workers we employ, even as a church, we pay them well for them to also make sure that they contribute enough to society. Now the second issue has to do with the entrepreneur skills. What we're saying is that's why she mentioned that we should have courses in the schools, especially when it comes to guidance and counseling. We don't have enough of these in almost every school. I'm surprised if you can count about 10 in some schools. So most of our people go to school without even knowing what they want to do. They finish school. An example was given by one of our members that he did a course, and there were almost about 1,000 people, 100 people in one class doing the same course. 1,000, yes. They finish, and most of them do not do what they want to do next. So then we're saying the issue has to do with career guidance. There was not everybody, and we all did that in school. I mean, some of us even selected subjects without the knowledge of our parents. We go to tell them that, Dad, Mom, I want to do A, B, C, D, Z. And if you are not lucky to have parents who can walk you through it, they'll clap for you that my son or daughter want to do science. But the issue is that let's find out, do they have the capabilities and abilities to do that? So we select subjects without knowing what they want to do. Take Legon. I have a colleague who was given archaeology and zoology, and he accepted it. One was given Swahili, and I asked him, Kofi, why? He said, I'll go to South Africa. You see, so we are given subjects. We select them for the fact that we want to be called graduates. We come out, and it hasn't measured to anything in society. We turn around blaming the government and all that for it. So that's what we mean by we should really have career guidance in schools to walk our kids through that. So they come out and they fit well into society. That was the point. Thank you.
And again, when people are guided in respect to the entrepreneurship, I know they will be guided on the right path. And even if there are any harm, they will be taught how to curb the harm or other ways they could do to prevent the harm escalating. That would destroy many people or many lives. So it is better we seek knowledge on those aspects than we venture into it ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think in your submission, you made mention of a point that we should encourage more Catholics to venture into politics. I think it's a point I want to pick and then add something. It's not a matter of a question, it's a contribution. Basically, from my own perspective, I think it's an area we are doing very well in terms of encouraging Catholics to venture into politics. I can say that so many of our politicians in the country now are Catholics. The place where I come from, the diocese, most of the MPs are Catholics. The regional minister is a Catholic. The Chiman North and South MPs are both Catholics. So you realize that Catholics are really in the picture. But the challenge I have that I think we can do more, is an area we are not doing more, is the formation of these people we have encouraged to become politicians. They are basically working based on what they have gathered. But the church may not be giving sufficient information, ongoing information, to our politicians. And so when they are there, instead of representing the Catholic faith identity, they represent their political identity. And that is an area I think we should be working more and more at. And so for our politicians, some of them do the things they do not because they want to do, but because we haven't tapped them on their shoulders and say, hey, where you are going is not a place you should go. Do we have programs that we do periodically, retreats for our politicians at the parish level, at the diocese level, at the national level? I think this year, it was recently, I heard that the members of parliament who are Catholics are forming some kind of, exactly. I think it should go beyond politicians in various institutions who are leaders. At parish levels, parish priests can help them. Sometimes we think they know. They are the big people, and so we don't see the need to give them formation. But they actually need the formation. Otherwise, we will be where we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's a very good point, but I want to add something further. Count the presidents in Ghana. The Catholics have covered more than 85% of presidents we have in Ghana. So far, from Nkrumah till now, Catholics are more.
I was about to add
Are more.
that the Speaker of Parliament, the first deputy, and the second deputy
They are all
are all
Catholics.
Catholics. But as he said,
Yes.
we forget about the faith and we play to the political. So.
Sister, I want to come with a question. Thank you very much. Sister, don't be undermined or don't be intimidated by the first presentation, by their pictorial presentation. Yours has been very, very, very practical, and I like it. I like it so much. Sister, you said something that really, really intrigued me. You said you provide dustbin at vantage points in communities and schools as a form of creating awareness. How are you going to fund that? Do you have anything to share with us? How are you going to fund that and all that? And how are you going to make it a reality? Yes.
Let me, in this particular regards, we can tax the JPCs in our parishes to take that up. Because in our parishes, the JPCs can start by providing dustbins. They have a nice way of raising, not big money, small monies, and they will find a way to, even if it's 1, 2, it's just the awareness creating. Another parish will do that. Another parish, another home may take it up. That is about the only way we can get people sensitized about using dustbins around. It's all a means of providing for the environment. So this is not a matter of group members going to look for big money to buy it for the whole Ghana, but the parishes can start by providing 1 or 2, and it starts from there. Thank you.
Also in Cape Coast, the Holy Cross sisters and brothers, they have something like that. They provide dustbins and other things for schools and religious houses. So we separate the bottles and rubbers and all that. Then they come round and gather all of them. So I think it's a way of also contributing to curbing this kind of menace we have. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to add something, because when we talk about most of these projects to implement them, we talk about money. Every time we talk about money. But I think we can use other measures in which to push these things through. When our parents were much younger, the environment was very clean. They were not talking about money. They just use a bucket, maybe a paint bucket, that has a cover. And they put the dirt inside there and cover it. Some use sacks. At the end of the day, put in it, they tie it. So if we don't have money, it's not an option that we are not going to push through these things, because we all know how it is very difficult these days to get the money in order to make sure that these things are done. So I think in our schools, most of the time, we paint the school. When we paint the school, collect the rubbers, tell the children to wash the buckets, we can use them and put them at the corridor around the area, ask the children, please put the dustbin there. At the end of the day, we all go and throw it in the pits, burn it. So those things, we don't need to look for money and so on and so forth. Because if we are going to wait for the money to come, then we are not going to do anything.
I think recently, as Divine Word Missionaries, we inaugurated an NGO in Ghana called Vivat. That is Vivat International. And it is an NGO that integrated here in Ghana to kind of work with the grassroots to see whether if there are any challenges that we want to raise to the international level, it could be forwarded. And the action plan that was taken there was clean Ghana from plastic. We took an action plan of clean Ghana from plastic. And what was how were we going to clean Ghana from plastic? We're just that each parish should just put 2 or 3 dustbins, 2 or 3 dustbins in the parish, and put this one for plastic, this is for paper, and this is for metal or bottles. And in the parish, if we put it there and the children get to know, in fact, the children will make sure that whatever they have, they send it to where it belongs. And once the children are doing it, no adult will also find himself or herself throwing things on the ground. And even if the adult threw the thing on the ground, the child will remind that very person that, oh, Daddy, there is something here, you have to put the thing inside there. So it might not be so much how much it would cost, but at least something small in the parish level, just 3 dustbins, and then label them. And with the children involved, you see that we'll be very surprised about what will happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very practical points.
Yes. So I also want to ask that I think also conscientizing people on these issues will go a long way to help. A practical one is with us in the farm plains. Those who often use the ferry, now they have changed the whole team. There's a new team altogether, the captain with his boys. The old one, well, the impression created was somebody who doesn't really care about. But when the new team came, there was something that struck me. When the new team came and I was getting on board with the ferry, I realized that they had fixed all along small dustbins, and they tied them against the metal, yes, on the ferry. So you will see that when you get on board, there is nothing like plastic here, rubber there. And I was very much impressed. I said, wow. And there was order. So at least seeing those, those dustbins there, when you get on board and you buy maybe Coleco or water or whatever, you will not leave the thing on the ferry. You certainly dump it into the dustbin. And when you get on board, the place is very neat and very clean. So I think that we constantly need to conscientize people. And then when these things are put in place, as Sister also said, when you put it on the corridor and then you conscientize people, even some people just seeing it alone will, push them to do the right thing. So I think that way, yeah.
Yeah, so just an addition to what my brother just said. Technology has come to stay. And with just one video, 1,000 or 2,000 people will have a look at it. They'll view it, what is impacting people's life and the society as well. So some of these innovations, what we can do is to share on WhatsApp platform and other social media handles. It's going to go a long way for people to know what others are doing. It's going to influence the attitude to practice that one as well. Thank you.
Very important.
Yeah. I just want to add, Sister mentioned something that I want to draw our attention on. The issue of gathering this rubber and burning it is increasing global warming because it will emit a lot of gases that still goes to increase global warming. So I think the best way, as Group 1 indicated, we can sort this waste and either recycle them, and those that are decomposable, we use them to produce organic manure instead of burning them.
Thank you. Actually, it's only in our part of the world that sending your plastics is not motivational. Because at other places, as you send them, you get money. You get money. As the more you drop them in, the more you're able to tell that this is what you are gaining out of it. So it is so encouraging to send some of those things for recycling. And I'm sure these are some of the things we need to work on.
Thank you very much, Group 2, for your wonderful presentation. In fact, we've actually deliberated a lot after you presented. That means that it's quite interesting. But then I have a small challenge here. When my dear brother was talking about having this career development guidance, that is counseling, that side, we also have to be very careful. If they're well implemented, it will help. Other than that, me, for example, I went to a senior secondary school in '92. And then, in fact, I went to offer a course that I never even had any idea. I was not even aware. I go to class and I was to do home economics. Now, are we here? Are you hearing me? It's like I'm hearing myself. I need a very good mic. Okay.
No, please. We want you to take that point again. It's very interesting.
Okay. Very good. I like this one. I went to school, senior secondary school, '92, and to my best surprise, I offered home economics without knowing it. Why? Because when I was in the GHS, the madam who taught the vocational skills felt that I could do better in that one, without consulting me, without asking my own side to understand what exactly I would like to be in future. So when I got there, the first semester, first year, second year, when I come back home, my colleagues who are in a different senior secondary school, some were offering, different courses. We'll go out to sit and drink, when you come back. They said, "Oh, Charlie, what are you doing in school?" So I'm a science student, I'm doing science. I'm reading science. He said, "Wow." This one, I'm an art student. This one, but when it get to me, home economics, everybody.
It's food science. You see, you didn't know you should have said food science.
That I want to be, I'll be a cook. It's quite annoying, that I'll be a cook. So I became angry because I didn't want to be a cook. So it really discouraged me, seriously. It really discouraged me. I was so much annoyed with the teacher and the performance wasn't good. I must be very clear. So I have to divert the course. After I finish, I have to register for different courses, and that has made me to become orthopedic technologist today. So in actual fact, we need to understand the interest, the interest of the person. Sit down with him and know what exactly they want to be. Involve him. But if you say you counsel the person along your own desire, but you affect him tomorrow. Thank you very much. Oh, I asked for a cooking, I can cook.
Thank you very much. There is a hand
Hello.
at the back there.
Hello.
There.
Hello.
Red.
Just want to add that perhaps we should not be looking at farming out completely the task of discerning vocations to the schools. The church must play a very important role in helping parishioners to discern what the vocations are, and even providing practical avenues where parishioners who are sufficiently skilled in that area can be roped in to organize seminars or workshops for the youth in the church to complement what the schools would have to be doing, so that we can achieve the best results. I also want to touch on one other issue that was raised earlier about providing dustbins in the parishes. My own experience tells me that we are very good at starting new things. We love novelty, but how to sustain what we start? Yes, today we are speaking so eloquently about what we could do, but are we looking at how to sustain it? I was once the church, let's say the pastoral council chair. During my time, I personally ensured that there were dustbins around the church. There was a place that we recognized as a suitable place to dump whatever would be raised. Unfortunately, because it had not been a policy, when we left, those who came together with the priest, they didn't continue. So it seems we leave a lot of these things to the discretion of the priest and the parish advisory board members. If the dioceses could draw up something that every parish should ensure is done, and if these are monitored. For example, every parish should have at least 1 or 2 dustbins. When we go to church, if the adults don't produce litter, the children we go with, they buy biscuits or toffees or whatever, and this should be properly disposed of. So it should be a policy, it should be something that becomes an obligation, not an option, and that can go very far. Lastly, about politicians and politics. I think if we are doing something at the level of parliamentarians, and perhaps the assembly members and unit committee members should not be left out. But even before we do that, I feel that sometimes some of these things are offered to them too lately. I mean, later in life. It should be right from infancy. So the home, the Christian home, the Ecclesia Domestica, it's a mini church. How are we ensuring that right from infancy, these values are instilled in our young ones? So that, because, I mean, respect for your fellow human beings, ensuring that we don't become too greedy, respecting the dignity of work, and so making sure that you create avenues for the young ones to find work to do. If we grow up with these values, then when we become either the assembly member or the MP or whatever, it's already ingrained in us, rather than waiting till they assume these positions. And when the tree is already bent, it's difficult to straighten it. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to touch on, Sister said something concerning agriculture, which has not been given much attention at a basic level moving forward, which is very, very critical. Because we have a whole course at the SHS level, agriculture. But when it comes to JHS level, they are not doing anything like that. It has been embedded in integrated science, and just little portion of it is being taught. Being an agricultural nation, what are we doing to ourselves as a nation? This is a very crucial question that we have to ask ourselves as people. We are only crying, doing good, but our policies in agriculture is not helping. We are all hoping that we get best agricultural practices to make sure the land is not actually polluted or degraded. Meanwhile, we are not giving good attention to agriculture. We are just doing things to please ourselves, but indirectly, things are not put in order. Children right from the JHS are not having interest in agriculture because of the way we speak about agriculture. Meanwhile, we are an agricultural nation. So I think we have to really look at how things are done in our own way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'll give the mic to the resource person now. it looked like this is the shortest of all the questions, but elicited a number of responses more than any other.
Thank you very much and thank you very much to Group 2 for a great presentation. This has been a great presentation. I'm sure you can see that, as Father said, the contributions testify to how great it is. And I like some of the points you make because then it ties into Group 1, which helps us to go along as a group, one group as in this. So for example, when you talked about family values, the Group 1 talked about tree planting, for example. So if we are going to have a tree planting day, for example, labeling is important. If we have something like family tree planting day, and now instead of taking a picture of yourself, at least it will be the family taking a picture, and it becomes a family's responsibility to plant. It could be a family, and then we have responsibility, and then as we know, then we do the monitoring and all of that to keep influencing. So thank you very much for this very insightful contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Group 2. Acquitted.
Please, sister, can you write this out quickly and put it on the platform? Sister, okay? Sister, I'm behind. Kindly type out this and put it on the platform. Huh? Okay, you give it to anybody here who can help and put it on the platform, please.
So we now listen to the third group, Group 3.
Good evening to you all. In fact, our question was a whole book. But still, we will not be intimidated by the first and second presentation. We will give them showdown. Yeah. All right. Our question was, we were created with a vocation to work. The goal should not be the technological progress. The goal should not be that technological progress increasingly replace human work, for this will be detrimental to humanity. Work is a necessity, part of the meaning of life on this earth, a path growth. Human development and personal solution in the face of person needs. The broader objective, this is actually was quoted from the Laudato Si action. It was actually incomplete, so we read the whole verse before getting the concept of the question. But then our question also came in two folds. The first fold was, what options are available to Catholics in the Ghanaian society to help realize this vision? The second part was, identify one simple thing that this conference can take up after this. All right, so first of all, we're able to identify the vision from the whole paragraph that was given to us. And their vision was that, please a minute. The vision was having a dignified life through work. When we say, with emphasis on dignified, when something is dignified, it means that it's calm, it's impressive, and then that thing deserves a respect. So having a dignified life, having a respected life through work, being able to survive by doing the right thing. So work, not any work at all, but a work that is well accepted in the society in which we find ourselves. And the devil gives job to the idle hand. It has been circulating in our social media about a young boy of 15 years who has killed his grandmother because he heard that the grandmother has received some amount of money to pay his aboboya to be working for him. As a child of 15 years old, in fact, you will be thinking, what can prompt this particular child to be taking up this huge a dangerous risk. Our youth have become a threat to our own self, a security threat to our own self. Our own blood, our own families are taking huge risk because they have no work doing. And even as 15-year-old, but you are supposed to be, if I'm not exaggerating, in the basic school. So what will prompt you to take up this decision? Now we are going to talk about work. We can work. We have people who have never been in the classroom before, yet they are working and they are doing well. So taking it from here, now what are the options that is available to the to catalysts in the Ghanaian society? Our first option is that there's a need for the church to be more equipped with technology. All right, so the Laudato, please forgive me if I mentioned the Laudato Si, that particular paragraph that this question was centered on did not refute the fact that artificial intelligence is important. Therefore, there's a need for human as we are. We need to work. We cannot do away necessarily. Just putting technology aside, our efforts are needed. And therefore, as human as we are, we need to develop some skills. And what are these skills? One of the difficult skills that need to be learned is soft skills. It will interest you to know that soft skills are more difficult than hard skills. What are soft skills? Somebody might ask. Okay, so soft skills are your abilities of working or being able to interact with other people in the workplace. For example, we can talk about creativity, communication, your confidence, being a very good team player. It can go on and on and on. These are innate abilities that you have to build yourself. It's something you must learn yourself. And one thing we should also note at this juncture is that soft skills are professional specific. You cannot apply it to every other job. Every work or profession you find yourself comes along with its specific skills. Okay, so let's take a teacher. As a teacher, when you get to we say teachers, you are not supposed to be one of the code of ethics is that you're not supposed to be wearing very high heel, talking high heel. Once you walk across, the student will be concentrating on the rhythm of the sound that your shoes are making. So you are not supposed to wear those ones. And as a teacher, you are not supposed to be wearing revealing clothes, showing your arms, your body. You are not supposed to be doing that. But here, as a teacher, you have to, for example, when you find yourself in the early childhood, you must be patient with the children. You have to be a mother more than being a teacher. You need to be, because those children are very, very, very critical. That if you don't take care, you might beat a child and you end up in a situation that you wouldn't want to be. So you have to have these skills. You should be creative enough. For example, you find yourself in a company whereby all that they do is using the old system. Sometimes because they have been there for long, they are very difficult to adapt to new changes. So as a newcomer, or let me say a new employee, when you get to the company, you need to make sure that you bring something on board that even those who are resistant to change can adapt to it. And that should be friendly for everybody to accept. Okay, so the next thing we also talked about is the church must encourage self-reliance. You will all bear witness with me that here in Ghana, in particular, you cannot go to any company without seeing a white man. Because almost all companies in Ghana are chaired, or we have our leaders being white. and we being the subordinates. We must believe in ourselves. We can do it. Let's start from, it's going to be hard, especially when we Africans, we don't accept our own. So for this particular point, we have to be encouraged to take up risk. We should be able to take up risk and build from the scratch, not always depending on other people to begin something. And then the next point is that more education needs to be done in order to tune the minds of people towards numerous job opportunities. All right, so this education in every, every program that we set our mind up to, it begins from the mind, our mindset. If we are able to change our mindset, I think we can do everything. I will not take you far. We have a youth group here in Ghana, Operation Fix the Country. Now, this has become an issue in every child and every household. It's a new normal. Every household knows about this. Now, the point is, always the government must do this. I'm not doing campaign here. I'm trying to bring something here. I am actually a non-partisan, so don't be afraid. I'm not campaigning. All right, so this, as individual as we are, what are we bringing to the table? We find ourselves in a situation whereby I normally, during weekends, I normally sell some clothes at the marketplace. And then one time, a big truck came around with two gentlemen on board. The gentleman was having some buffalo, in simple terms, buffalo. He finished eating and he dropped the polythene bag. He saw me. Immediately, I frowned my face for him to know that I wasn't pleased with what he was doing. He looked at me, he smiled. Then he took water, he dropped it. Quickly, I walked towards him, immediately he dropped it. He sat in the car and they were about moving. I picked those bottles and dropped them in the truck. He nearly came down to beat me up. It took God and people around who saved me. Because I was trying to make a change. I have been seeing a lot of videos on social media. Even sometimes we come across a lot of videos, we just laugh over it and we don't make it have impact on us. That was one of the videos I came across. It was a content. I decided to practice it. It nearly landed me in the hospital. I am not saying it's not practicable. Master courage, you can make a change. And people there realized the change I was trying to make and they came to my rescue. So do the right thing, get bullied, and you have people to come to your rescue. You will not die. All right, so another thing is issues of injustice in every field of work. Injustice not only affecting females, but males as well. Let me begin from the females. Okay, so I am saying that, we are saying that I didn't do this work alone. We are saying that injustices in our work, in the working sector. For example, we have reached a point where your certificates doesn't matter. Your qualifications are not working. Put money on the table, or let me have sex, excuse my language, with you, for females. And what can the church do practically by eliminating or curtailing this problem? One thing we can do is that when we mount the pulpit, we have the opportunity of preaching to people, to having impact on their thoughts, on their mind, changing their minds. So we must know that once you begin giving yourself to your boss for a job, know that it will not end there. That was your entry. You enter the job, you want promotion. You have to go in and offer again. So this is something that is going to haunt you. Even your mental issue, it's going to affect your mental health because you did not take things, you did not risk something. You only took things, even though sex is not something easy, but then you didn't deserve the position that you got. You were not able to justify your inclusion, to defend yourself why you deserve that work. But then you only open your legs and you got what you wanted. It will keep going on. So the church, as we have children in our churches, Sunday schools, even at the catechism, we have youth, CYO. So it will begin from, the youth. You go home where the family, this is also part of the family's duties. I'm saying that because the family is part of the church, and the church is we the people. So when you come to hear the word of God, we can set time aside, go through these kind of things, this education, give them this education. You teach your child that I brought you up not to offer yourselves for jobs. Well, it is a choice for the child to take it or not. Just know that you have done your part. If your child will refuse to accept it, I'm sure the consequences, they are going to feel it. Do your part. Let's not hesitate in telling them the truth, that you need to risk something. You need to be given something on merit, not on a silver platter. All right, so another point is inculcating good morals among the youth. This particular point is the role of the family. For example, we all have parents who are workers. Imagine your parent wakes up in the morning knowing very well that he or she must go to work at 7 a.m. Your parent wakes up at 6 a.m., goes to the farm, and arrives in the house at 8 o'clock a.m., rushing to go to work. Your child is there. The child may be going to school at 8 o'clock, or even if it is the parent who is supposed to send the child to school, mommy is late already. You are back from the farm at 7 o'clock a.m. You are yet to take care of the children and go to school. Your children are always late. This becomes the norm. This is how our parents trained us. My mother is always late sending me to school. What does it imply? It implies that her negative or his negative attitude towards work will automatically affect me. When I grow, I know that even though when my mommy is late for school, nobody punishes her. She has never gone to school and come back to tell you that her master has sacked her because she was late for work. So this is what the child has grown up to see. And therefore, they will grow to keep behaving like the parent, a negative attitude towards work. So in this aspect, as family, whenever we are doing something, we are building up our family, or we are trying to give them a better future. Whatever we do, we must make sure that we include our children. For example, like Madam said, when you are having a planting season, you bring your child on board. Every season that at every level the plant grows, take a picture with it. So imagine having this vision, and then you keep seeing the pictures of you being part of a tree that has grown in your house. This is something, it's a positive impact you are giving to the child. You are training the child first to be able to do something at least a day. You should fulfill a task. You don't just wake up, spend the whole day knowing very well that you have not utilized your day well. All right, another point that we also raised is that parents must embrace, appreciate, and respect the ambitions of their wards. I am a living testimony. Growing up, I was once asked what I want to do in future, just like Daddy said that he unfortunately ended up in the home economics class. But it is fortunate today, I'm telling you, if I had the opportunity to start school, I would read home economics. Why am I saying that? Those utensils that they buy for the children, today, if you're able to take good care of, like to keep them in good shape, when you finish, you are not waiting for any government to employ you. You can start something. And with that time, it is your parents that are paying for it. When you need this, you go home, you give the prospectus to them, they buy it for you. You will finish, you have your oven, you have those pans for pastries. In fact, what do you need in a kitchen that you will not have at that early age? So even after completion and awaiting results, you can begin something and start building yourself. Let me come back to me. When I was asked what I wanted to do in future, I told my parents I wanted to be a journalist. And I was told all teachers are journalists. So I should enter into education. That was advice I got from my parents. That is not because they were not interested in my dreams or ambitions. That is because first they talk about money. Being in the school of journalism is not easy. And sometimes it comes to the news how students are prevented from writing exams because even though they have paid their fees, they have issues, they have to be sidelined. So, but then, what I am saying is that as parents, we should be able to listen to our children. Practically, you can sit your child down. This is what, Akosua, you want to do. These are the job opportunities when you complete. In fact, you can give the child options to weigh which one will best fit the child. Sometimes you are young and you feel that this is what you can do, but then when you get the opportunity, most people, they fail. And here in Africa, excuse me, in foreign land, who introduced education to us, I think most of them are able to identify the abilities and capabilities of their child from a very tender age. So they fix you there. For example, in Singapore, it came to news that they have stopped writing end of exam, right? End of term exam. Am I right? End of term exam. Okay, so at the end of the day, they focus more on the practical aspects. Here in Ghana, I read political science during my first degree, and then I did history as a minor. They are all theory. In fact, truth be told, as I stand here, I cannot remember everything that I read. So imagine a home economics person, a visual arts person, doing these practical things. The home econs, that was a course that when you mention, everybody will be laughing. Now is the hot cake. Tailoring is a hot cake. People have diverted from their doctorate. They are taking 6 months basic skills, or am I right? Basic skills. Fashion and designing, so that at least they could have something to depend on. Okay. It seems the spirit is coming. I'm beginning to get emotional. All right. So the last, another point we also raised is there should be equity in our field. You give every person what is due him. You don't harbor personal issues. In when you find yourself, let's say you have a neighbor, you work in the same institution, but you have issues at home. Maybe you are the boss and he or she is the subordinate. You get to the workplace, that is where you want to pepper the person. No. What the person is due, give the person that. This will motivate that person and will not only center his idea on the money that he or she is going to get at the end of the day, but to be able to have passion for the work that he's doing. I was telling my boss that, in fact, I am proud of where I have gotten to. Even though I wanted to become a journalist, I entered into teaching, and here I am. But then, I have developed another passion, and that passion is what has brought me here. I am a very adventurous person. I love being in a car. Just as I was a kid, when I was a kid, I was actually enjoying seeing me in a car, and then when we move, I'll tell my mother that the trees are moving, the buildings are moving. So, but then I have realized that it makes me happy. At the end of the day, when I don't receive my salary, and my boss may go like, don't worry, your salary will come. He doesn't know how I'm, like the happiness I get even being in this position, like occupying this position. I have the love for it. It will take me places. It has always been my prayer that God give me a job that will take me places where money cannot. Here I am. Set your mind to something, and it works. It works like magic. All right, so, don't. Another point we came across is respect and appreciation from employers to employees. Most of the times we expect employees to respect employers, but employers, we say respect is reciprocal. So when there's difference between respect and fear, you put fear in your employees, you think they respect you. You should be able to identify fear from respect. So you should give them respect, not necessarily not being firm. You respect them and stand on your toes. Be firm. That is it. I think I've taken much of your time. And then I think one practical point is that well-to-do members in the church should consider creating jobs for other fellow members. I think the second presentation, they mentioned that why politicians have taken up, our church members have taken up political duties. We have some of them in our churches. We are appealing to you that you should consider creating jobs and employing some of your fellow church members. Yes, consider them. Employ them, bring them closer to you, let them work for you. And it will even, some people may not come to church because they are not receiving help from the church. But then when we have these programs or these jobs for the church members, we have some missionary churches, especially the Presbyterian and the Methodist. We have training colleges. If you are not a Methodist, you cannot become the proprietor or the head of that particular institution. But in Catholics, we accept everybody. So if we begin to also help our fellow people and then bring them closer or refer them, if you know of anybody that is seeking for looking for employees, you can refer them, help them to also achieve that dream. Lastly, we cannot say all this without leaving technology out of it. We have a lot of social media platforms: WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, a lot of them where we can organize programs educating the public, not only the Catholics. The Catholics, we can take it upon ourselves, educating the publics. For example, on job opportunities available, from time to time seminars. We can also go to schools and organize these programs. And then lastly, the last part of our question, which was identify one simple, please help me out. Okay, identify one simple thing that can take up. Okay, so one simple thing we came across was inculcating good social values. Inculcating good social values. And we say charity begins at home. This we can start from the family at home. I've already explained, giving examples of the attitude that we show towards work. If we as parents, we leave an example to our young ones, they will also grow up to adopt the positive examples. And I think they can all excel in their field of work. Thank you.
Thank you. You meant showdown, and you have given us real showdown. All right. So it's now time for group members first, always. Group members, if you have anything to add, or you think she has spoken beyond. Anyway. Oh, you don't think? So she should have even have continued and ended, but you are okay with what she said. Okay, thank you. All right, so we can take the questions or the contributions now.
Thank you, Father. Thank you very much, Group 3. You have done well. You made a point, the last but one, that the church should consider employing the church members or the Catholics, which is a very good point. When we employ our own, we give work to our very own people. And then it helps in building our homes, our families, and then the Catholic home, which is very good. Now, there is an instant where dioceses invest, have businesses, and trust them into the hands of we, the Catholics. And then, you see, some of us will mess up. And then it will be like those businesses do not belong to them. It's for the church. And you know, the priests, if you ask them, when, for instance, you go to the mechanic shop and a Catholic mechanic sees that you're a priest, that very day is a harvesting day for that person. Why? Because you're a priest. And so, if the cost is supposed to be 10 cedis, that person, not all, that person will have to take about 30 cedis or 50 cedis. And so some of the priests do not want to go to Catholics. They want to go to the Muslims and other people. Now, my question is, looking at this situation, what do you suggest? Do you think we should still build businesses, employ Catholics, and then let some of them are doing well, and then let some continue to mess up? Yeah.
Is it a response you want to give? Okay, so we can give it in a mic. Father Pius, is it a response to?
Yeah, thank you.
You are also in a group. Okay. Why did they put the two of you in the same group?
Thank you so much. Good values to be inculcated in the youth, the beginners. we had this argument among us when we met, employing Catholics, and to our surprise, they do the opposite. If you are well trained and you go through schooling and you happen to come out successfully, of course, with the good values in you, I know the importance of job to you. From the grassroots, from the beginning to where you have gotten to, I don't think you want to cheat. So, what we will expect in the long term, educating our Catholic youth in the Sunday schools, in the schools created by the Catholics, and so forth, and teaching them to understand the importance and why they should work for their living. I don't think there will be any cheating anywhere. But when you leave, they said you don't straighten the dry wood, you allow them to do their own things and get to a position where you then expect them to tend to be good. It might be a fallacy. It's not possible. The person has already cultivated a habit. What happens? He goes on with that. I'm happy you have mentioned, I don't know whether you are a priest. Yes. We don't have trust in our members, and we have trust in Muslims and the other churches. It's just like having your own child, you give birth to your child, you don't have trust in that child, and you expect somebody's child to be respected. But almost your child in Dagare will say, whether the child is this or what, you need to train the child so that wherever the child is found himself or herself, there will be eyebrows on such a child. So let's consider our own people. And don't consider that somebody might be grown and he cannot be trained. Even our workers, people you bring around, educate them, let them understand the situation at a time, you know. And you let them, you see them working as well as you can think about other people in the various institutions apart from the Catholic Church. Thank you.
Father Pius, are you okay? Or you want to add something? Yeah. Since it's the group.
Just a little. Those of us who did sociology in the universities or church history, you remember that they say one of the failures of the Catholic Church is that we don't teach, we don't bring people up in business spirit. While the Protestants, right from the beginning, they teach you the values of the principles of business. And this is what we are saying, that we have to instill these values, hard work, honesty in our children, right from the Sunday liturgy to, so it should really be a continuous education for all of us, catechesis, teaching, that we teach them to appreciate and to value and to be hard working. And with this, as he said, they will not be cheating at the workplaces. They will be useful to us. And we should be able to do away with these philosophies that a person who presses the honey must lick the hand. Those things are evil. We have to start teaching our people that they don't have to go that way. You don't have to lick your hand always. Sometimes when you lick your hand, the bee will sting your tongue. So we have to discourage them from that.
Thank you very much, Father Pius.
I just want to add something. In the presentation of Group 2, they mention of career guidance. And then my sister in Group 3, they also insist on that. I want to say that sometimes parents are very ignorant when it comes to guiding their children to make their career choices. And so what we do in our schools, we invite the parents and we give them the guidance and counseling on that. And based on that, they are able to help their children. And so sometimes parents need to be guided in order to guide their children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Charlotte. It's one of the points I wanted to raise, that I think we are taking it for granted that all parents are educated and so they should be able to guide. It is not the case. A number of us, our parents never stepped in school, so they may not be able to offer us that direction, that guidance. So we make good use of the system that is provided. Thank you.
Just a couple of points. These days, we are talking about the dignity of labor and work and all of that. But you find that amongst the youth, there's this spirit that seems to possess them, that makes them want to get rich quick. All over the parishes you hear scamming. Some of our youth, yes, being lured into this scamming or sakawa thing. And so you ask yourself, what is the genesis of all of this? It appears as a society, we are losing our values, and respect for honest labor. We celebrate people who make money and display their riches without stopping to ask ourselves the sources of their money. And so much so that even sometimes in the church, when we are looking to raise resources, harvest, whatever, we are inclined to look around for those who have the money without thinking about how they have been making their money. So maybe we have to look at that. But at the heart of this is also the increasing numbers of dysfunctional families, broken homes, so that most of our youth are growing up without the proper parenting that they need to grow well and to respect other people and even the value of work and honest gains. Yeah, so that's what I want to add.
Please, I want to add something to my brothers. Now, the issue of the youth want to get money so fast. I think this problem is from, let me say, our mothers. Called right from their infancy, they start telling them, their girls, you need to get married to a man who is rich and responsible. So they start doing all these things. But meanwhile, they are forgetting that they come married to our mothers, where our fathers, where they have nothing, but they stood with them. And now, but when they give birth to their daughters, they start telling them, you need to get married to a man who is rich. So it seems like the girls, all they know these days is money. And the brotherhood, we are suffering. We are suffering. So please, mothers, those in your associations, Christian mothers, St. Teresa's, when you go to your meeting, tell them how they started with our fathers. And let this thing continue so that at least the pressure on the guys will be limited. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so there's a hand behind first, then Cecilia.
Thank you. I also want to contribute to the discussion. On your presentation, you made mention of families from other worlds. They identify potentials of their kids at the early stages of their lives. And I think in relating that to the quotes, I love the quotes very well. I think it's an advice the Pope is rather giving us. We should look at the opportunities around us as a continent. I would not say Ghana per se, but as a continent, Africa. When you look at other continents, they've been able to tap into the various opportunities they have by introducing the various technology they are using to help their citizens. But if you compare them to that of Africa, we are not able to identify our potential. And our potential basically is the good land that we have, and we are not able to preserve it. When you look at that, well, let me situate it to where I come from, Ho Diocese. When you look at Ho Diocese, the Catholic Church, mostly our communities are being dominated by the Catholic Church. Look at our land. If the Catholic Church has more people within that setup, it means that the Catholic Church has access to the good lands that we have. What can the church do? The church can conscientize our people in taking up alternative livelihood. If we are doing a different thing, aside what we are doing, for instance, you go into farming, not using the means that we normally use to destroy our environment, but rather resorting it to the new technologies that are available to us. For instance, using organic manure, rather than going in for this, how do you call it? This weedicides and those things that destroy the land. I think the church, we can do better. We can organize programs for our people in taking up all these things and helping the society or the environment that we found ourselves. So the land per se is a good resource to the church, for the church to tap in to develop our society. Thank you.
So, Sister Cecilia and then William. Okay. We have the last three hands.
Thank
then
you.
We'll round up with the facilitator.
In the presentation, you made mention of eradication of injustice. And when you made mention of that, what came to my mind is our education system now. BC and WASI. Now it's everywhere. Everybody knows how the children get questions and write in the presence of invigilators during examination. So now even when they go and they get excellent results, it's not like something strange has happened. And this has eaten into our Catholic schools. Before, we used to think it was the private schools that were doing it. But now, in the remotest area in Ghana, they are also doing it in our public schools, including our Catholic schools. I don't know what Catholic education units can do about it, because at that age, if the children are cheating, if the children are learning those things at that age, then I don't know what we are talking about. I don't know what the future has for Ghana and for the world. So I am appealing to stakeholders, the teachers among us, priests. We should also use the pulpits. Parents are also responsible. Parents come to school to tell head teachers that we have never had 100%. You too, take it, pay it, we will pay. Give it to the children, let them also go and do well. All we are interested in is academic excellence, but the moral values, we have lost it. I am pleading, I don't know if something can be done about it. Our Catholic education unit should do something about it, and I think we can start from somewhere, from our own Catholic schools. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. I feel your pain. These days, even if you enter the consulting room, you are afraid. Yeah, you are afraid. You have to be sure.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Group 3. I want to contribute to the take-up after this conference. I've just been thinking, is it possible that after here, the various dioceses gathered here, can we take up a project in our diocese looking at our the opportunities available to us. When she was presenting, she made mention of programs that are now lucrative. People like, for example, the catering, the tailoring, carpentry, agriculture. So looking at our strengths in our diocese, can we take up a project? And this is a 5-year, program, the Laudato, so that each diocese will look at our strength and then come up with something involving the youth that would help them at the end of it, get themselves employed. And then that work will be there for us to point to as what we have done from now up to the end of the 5 years. And then ensure that it's sustainable and keeps going. And the work should be such that the environment is also taken care of. Thank you.
Yes, Group 3. In your submission, you made mention of, you hardly see, for example, SDA and their headmaster being a Catholic, neither be a Pentecost. Comparative to the Islamic senior high school, you hardly see a different denomination being the head of that school. What comes to mind is that what is happening to our Catholic institution, taking the Pokuare, the St. Louis, and other institution. And one thing I also got to realize is that it's because that we're giving some of the power to the government. So government has an influence as to how the education system being run. I just asked myself, what can we do to make sure that we maintain the Catholic values with the students that takes part in that education system? I personally went to a Catholic school, so I know how it has shaped my thinking and informed me as to be today. But our current students, trust me, you would be shocked as the kind of people that we are producing. What we can do is to stand firm, come together collectively, and make sure, even though we are giving to you, but we decide, it's our own church, it's a church school, we decide on leadership. You can bring a Catholic to be the leader, but not a different person being the leader. For example, TIMAS in a square, they will never allow you to bring a different person to become the head. When it's Friday for prayers, whether you are Catholic, whether you're Muslim, you are compelled to abide by their own rules. We also have to step up and make sure that our Catholic values that are shaping our younger ones to this stage, we maintain that heritage. But I realize the Catholic schools will be a normal school. And some of us, it will be paying us because the foundation we have, believe that our brothers and younger sisters should have the same foundation and to shape us, make impact in the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm a member of the group, and I would like to share with what my sister and my brother just said. I would like to believe that one of the woes of the nation is the fact that the church's hand is being tied when it comes to education. Because these days, if you are a priest, you don't have much say in our own school that we have given to the government. I would like to give an example. And there was a funny thing I heard from a boy. When it was getting to a time of BC, Sunday, Monday, they were going to write their first paper. And the teacher saw the boy and said, "Won't you go and learn?" And the boy said, "I have paid for it." Yes. He just mentioned that to the teacher. And the person is coming from a Catholic school. So gradually, academic excellence, discipline is fading off. We don't have it. We don't have them again in the church and in our schools. We can bring back discipline if we break away from these shackles and chains. If not, for me, I see a very dark future for the country, because I'm not being a prophet of doom, but that is what I see. Looking at the way we are moving and how education is moving, in future, you will go to hospital, the doctor will just go through his phone and prescribe medication for you. And it is happening.
Sometimes you go to the hospital, the nurse doesn't know what to do. And it is happening. But I am praying that one day our bishops will stand up and talk to the government and bring back our schools. Else, or 50-50. Let us have a say in our own school. If not, everything is fading off, and Catholicism, discipline, academic excellence is dying. We have to do something. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Because of where I stand, I can tell you that it is not only the bishops, but all the unit schools, including that of the army and the police, have been chasing after the government for several years now to sign that memorandum of understanding so that we will manage our schools, and it is only government that should take care of salaries, because all Catholics or all the missions, their members pay taxes. They are not ready to do it. So the next plan of action is actually to go on a demonstration and to visit the ministry. That one I can tell you. So, okay. Good. All right, so we'll now take the final words from facilitator, responding to this first, and then you come and give your conclusion.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for this showdown. This was really a showdown. And virtually everything you said resonated with me. In fact, when you were talking about soft skills, I remember a colleague lawyer and a good Catholic that I have, very brilliant guy. Brilliant lawyer. But he's always having issues. He's having issues in the court, so he can't practice in the court. He works in a law. He works in a company. He's having issues in the company. So one day I decided to sit with him to listen, and then he was talking about his boss. So the only simple thing he really wanted was annual leave. Everybody's entitled to it. When it comes to him, before the boss will sign the annual leave, she will show him pepper. When it is bonuses are due, bonuses that are going to be paid for everybody, the boss doesn't want to sign. So the way he was talking, then he was like, that woman, and then the tone, the facial expressions. So then I realized that was where the problem was. It was his body language to his boss. It was the way, instead of even calling her by her name, because the woman is your boss, and the woman too is a lawyer. So you cannot be calling her that woman in a certain tone and facial expression, and then you want her to sign your leave. She will show you pepper. So I tried to tell him that I suspect it is your mannerisms. And it was the same. I was in court once, and then he was making a presentation. He had very great argument. But the judge was making a point, and then he cut in and told the point that, my lord, you don't have jurisdiction. And I said, yes, the court doesn't have jurisdiction. But remember that my lord is a human being. You don't do that kind of gesture to the judge. Yes, my lord knows that the law, he was like, no, but the law says that she doesn't have jurisdiction. I said, yes, the law says that he doesn't have jurisdiction. But the law allows her to make mistakes. So if you go doing her like this, but you don't have jurisdiction, she will say, I have jurisdiction. If you want appeal, who is going to suffer? Exactly. So the soft skills are very important in addition, but otherwise fantastic. Brainy lawyer. So I like the point that you raised about also all of them, but when you were talking about the soft skills, I remembered that person. And then the real issue of work and creating work. Yes, we talk about creating work, but the real issues come whether some of the people actually want work. Others really just want handouts. There are many people in our community who don't want a job. If you give them work, they won't do it. They want handouts. And also the point that was also made about even Catholics employing Catholics, the values of work are also very important. Because sometimes you may even employ Catholics and then they won't come to work, they will give you excuses, and then they expect that because you are Catholic, you have to understand. And then they expect, and then because you are Catholic, you have to pay them so much. Where are you going to get the money? If they don't come and do the work, where are you going to find the money from to pay them for? So the values of work, the work ethic is also very important. And like I like all the points we're making, that we have to go back to these as well and make sure that people have the right attitude towards work. And that people should understand that I don't think God said that we should allow people to be lazy. So that people don't want to work and they just say, as a Christian, give me. As a Christian, give me. So the values of work and the fact that God himself says that we should work. And so we have to do. So thank you very much, Group 3, for a very great presentation. Showdown, yes, thank you. Now, in fact, I don't even know whether I should have a conclusion. The reason is that, you know, in court, when you are making a presentation to the judge, and then you are watching the judge, and you can see that you've made a point to the judge, you stop talking. Even when you haven't finished saying what you want to say. The reason you stop talking is that you don't want to say something that may make the judge change their mind. Exactly. They may now, maybe they didn't think of. So when you realize that you've made the point, you want to stop. That's how I feel right now. I want to stop. The reason I want to stop is I've enjoyed the group presentation so much. And that was really all that I wanted us to do, so that we could get thinking of what we want to do. And that has been achieved. And so looking at everything that has come from the group presentations, I feel like I really don't want to talk. So forgive me if I'm rushing through the conclusions, just because it's part of the program, and then I'll have to rush through the conclusions. But part of the conclusions, I want us to think of what St. John Paul II said some time ago, that the obligation to earn one's bread by the sweat of one's brow also presumes the right to do so. And a society in which this right is systematically denied, in which economic policies do not allow workers to reach satisfactory levels of employment, cannot be justified from an ethical point of view, nor can that society attain social peace. We just talked, even in this group, about the danger of unemployed youth to all of us. The youngster who killed their grandmother. So it's a real issue. People should have work, and not just work, they should have opportunity to reach their highest potential. That is a responsibility we have to keep thinking of as a people. And as we've all already made before, leadership, of course, it may be defined as a process by which an individual influences a group of people to achieve common goals. We are hoping that from here, we will do something that will influence the entire church and the rest of the Ghanaian society to do something right, to protect our environment, and to help people to live dignified lives at their various workplaces. And also, responsive leadership includes correctly identifying the problem in our society, which we have. We've talked about the youth. It's a big concern. We have to admit that we have a considerable youthful population, most of whom are unemployed. And Father talked about the fact that he doesn't want to be a prophet of doom. If you think very seriously about it, it is scary. Because this is also a generation that likes money, that likes a comfortable life, that has great taste, expensive taste, but they are not working. No spirit of volunteerism. No, not at all. And yet, a lot of them actually don't even want to work. They just want to have the money. So we have to find a way of retracing our steps back to the fact that God commanded us to work. God didn't say anybody should lazy about and just get given things. We have to find a way. We have to recognize this as a national crisis and treat it as such, and see what we can do as a church to help to address the problem. Now with free SHS, a lot more people are getting access to education. A lot more people are going to the universities. People are getting certificates. Whether they are getting skills is a different matter. But people are getting certificates. And the added problem of the certificate is that once people have the certificate, there is a certain sense of entitlement that comes with it. Whether they have the skills or not, they feel entitled to certain good things in life. And then, of course, the cynicism around as well. People don't trust the system. All of these are realities of our society that we need to talk about. When we come back to the environment, we know that flooding affects around at least 45,000 Ghanaians every year. And half of Ghana's coastline is vulnerable to erosion and flooding as a result of sea level rise. We know that without prompt actions, higher temperatures and heat stress will affect crop production and, of course, labor productivity, and more erratic rainfall patterns will damage buildings and infrastructure. We also know that land degradation, water insecurity, and local air pollution also harm. The good news though that there is hope. And the hope lies the fact that we know that there is considerable evidence that Ghana is capable of pursuing long-term development goals, as well as taking into consideration the climate goals as well. And to do this, we know that among other things, we must find spaces for people to participate in decision-making and public debate, like we've just done, which has been great. You see all the brilliant ideas that came up from this room, just from this group of people. And we know that to reduce the impact on the poor, Ghana will need to focus on improving responsive social protection systems. We always have the vulnerable. We will always have vulnerable people in our society. So as we think about all that we have to do, we also have to think about social protection systems. I know that there is a social protection policy as to how to go about this. Okay. So in conclusion, we recognize that the subject and the goal of all social institutions is and must be the human person, and the sustainable welfare of the human person is certainly linked as well to a healthy environment for the present generation as well as the future one. And responsive leadership is focusing on humanity, and so therefore the environment. If we want to focus on humanity, we can't forget about the environment. So we are called upon today to focus on human beings within the Ghanaian society and globally by inspiring values and policies both in the public and private space that enhance the dignity of labor, work, and protection of the natural environment. What I would love to see is a policy brief coming out of this conference. In addition to that one thing that we want to do. A policy brief, Group 1, for example, talked about a policy. We can focus on something specific or more than one thing. We can focus on a couple of things, but a policy brief coming out of this, backed with action, and certainly that one action thing that we can embed values in it and show to the world as our contribution by inspiring people to do more. Again, thank you so much, everybody, and for all the groups for this great time that I have had. I have so enjoyed this afternoon session, and I'm very grateful to all of you. Thank you so, so much.
So, thank you. The presentation will be made available to you. So, just wait a bit and you'll have it. It will be on the platform. So, if you are here and you are not on that WhatsApp platform, see Dennis at the back. Dennis, can we see you? Dennis? He's tired. So some are not yet on the WhatsApp platform. So I've asked them to see you so that you can add them. Thank you. So we shall now take the concluding words from the team lead, Father Terence.
Before I sign off with those words, I would like to make these announcements. This program, Laudato Si Action Program, which was put in place by Pope Francis, is being handled by Dicastery of Human Development in Rome. And Ghana is connected to that platform, universal platform, in which or on which the church shares its experiences in Ghana and it's shared with the whole world. So what we have been doing is already been shared, and what we have done so far since the beginning of this year. And from time to time, I'll post some Zoom conferences or webinar links to the platform. Please try to connect and register and participate in the Zoom conferences. It's a conference that's going on. It's an invitation to me that I share on the platform, and they ask me to share to as many people as possible. And I will encourage you that anytime you see that link, please register and participate. Finally, I would like to extend our heartfelt and immense gratitude to you all for your active participation in this training workshop. Your presence and contributions played a significant role in making the event a resounding success. We truly appreciate your enthusiasm and dedication. Clara, you have always been an inspiration to the younger generation, particularly because you continue and you are really influencing a change in society, not only here. And how we get you here is because of the inspiration we draw from your responses you give, especially on Newsfile and other places that you're invited to, and we watch you on the TV. And so we suggested to you that you should be here today to reflect with us on this topic. Thank you very much. We look forward to another opportunity to collaborate with you in future and to create more memorable experiences together. Thank you one and all once more for being a part of this history. It's a history that we are making, and new things are happening. My team members from NCS, I wave my hands for you. May our resolve to change in respect of the poor and environment, the natural environment, be a success as you go back to implement this in your various areas of work. And when you go back, we wish you a safe journey. Thank you so very much.
Arise, Catholic faithful. It's also a laity council greeting. So please, after here we'll go for our supper. For those of us who may not return tomorrow, especially those living around Koforidua, may want to go today and will not return to tomorrow, you can see me before you go. But those who leave tomorrow, you can wait until tomorrow before you see me for your token of transportation. Some may also want to leave at dawn. So all those should also see me this evening after supper so that you can take your token. Thank you very much. Yeah, so the bell has been rung for supper, so we can disperse for supper now.
Jesus. apostles,